We'll get started. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm most appreciative for attendance at these meetings. They get lonely sometimes, so we like to see people coming. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order on June 27th, 2023, and ask our city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Present.
Commissioner Henderson?
Present.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Present.
Mayor Bray?
Present.
You two are dressed alike.
They are. I'm trying to influence it.
That's cute.
We gotta partner better.
So Commissioner Guess will we'll say our prayer and then we'll remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord God, thank you for who you are and for the life you've given us. Thank you for the city you've given us, and I lift each and every person up here tonight, and just let our actions be pleasing to you. We love you and thank you for all that you do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we're here. Okay. All right, City Manager, I'd like to make one change. We have two people here making public comment, and so I'd like to move them to so they don't have to sit through the entire meeting to wait to make their public comments, and so I'll move them right before the consent agenda. That's okay. Are there any other additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, Mayor.
Okay, my first order of business tonight is to make a presentation for a Paducah Award. So, Mr. Barber, would you come? How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Good to see you. Come right up here with me. Yes. So Henry Barber is a longtime member of the Civic Beautification Board.
Yes.
That's correct, right?
Correct. Yes,
I think maybe since 2005 is what
At least, yeah.
okay, at least, okay. Something very noteworthy about Henry, he's a passionate botanist.
Forester.
And forester, and is a member of our tree advisory board. And those of you who follow what's been going on here in the city, we all consider the tree advisory board to be very important, and our tree canopy in the city is very important, and so we thank you for that service. He also served as head of research for the Westvaco Timberland Division.
Correct.
And if you follow Westvaco in the early years, they had a lot of land down in Ballard County in western Kentucky, and that was quite a position of influence when you were in that position. So Henry is an outstanding citizen that has dedicated a lot of time to the city of Paducah, and I'm most appreciative and want to bestow upon you a Duke of Paducah Award.
Thank you very much. This is an honor to me to have this.
Let's get a photo. Thank you, sir.
Most enjoyable city that I've lived in, and I've lived in many cities, but I appreciate Paducah as much or more than any of the others.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're proud to have you.
I have to say, I worked with, I think it's actually Dr. Henry Barber. Do you have your PhD?
No, I have a
Master's, okay. But in forestry with Westvaco for many, many years. So it's nice to see you here, and thank you for all you've done for the whole region, really, with Westvaco and then now in the city as well.
Okay, and So the next award I wanted to make a presentation is to a gentleman here in the community, Michael Cochran. Michael, thank you for being here tonight. Those of you who followed the Market House Theater and the impact that they have made in our community over many, many years, Michael, on June 16th, received a Distinguished Merit Award from the American Association of Community Theaters. This is a national award that recognizes his contributions to promote and develop the very highest standards of community theater. The Market House Theater itself also received the Twink Lynch Organizational Achievement Award, which recognizes the progress that was made with the Market House Theater's Next Stage project, which was an amazing project led by Michael, that's been a driving force behind the progress that the Market House Theater's made. They own many, many buildings, a number of buildings in downtown Paducah. And where I am most impressed, I have a granddaughter, who I've been trying to talk into getting into theater, and so far I've been unsuccessful with it. But I was involved in theater in high school and after high school, and I know really what an impact it can have on your life, in terms of preparing you for other things. And so I'm just the biggest fan of what Michael and his wife April, of course, have contributed to this community. So one of the things I get to do as mayor is do special things for people. And so I wanted you to come up, Michael, and I'll give you this award. It's actually called the Mayor's Award of Excellence. You're only the second recipient. So it's presented to Michael Cochran in recognition of your contributions to promote and develop the highest standards of community theater in our region. Congratulations. Stand right there. Uh-oh. So it always takes two to tango. And and so I wanted to make sure that, April, that I recognized you this evening, and because I know that you guys have been a team, and you have as a team, have made such an impact in our community. And so you're already a Duchess of Paducah. I did my research, but I wanted to write a special letter of commendation. And it just says, with gratitude, the Paducah Board of Commissioners would like to take this opportunity to present a letter of commendation in honor of your distinguished career. Your numerous contributions highlight the importance of arts in our community. We are deeply appreciative of the numerous hours you have devoted to the theater and to our youth. You have been an impactful mentor for a multitude of students over the years, instilling confidence, teamwork, and pride. We congratulate for your distinctive and well-deserved awards throughout your career, and we thank you for your dedication to the Market House Theater in Paducah. Citizens like you indeed make a difference and are a fabric of our community. Please come.
Yes.
Okay. Let's take a picture, all three of us, okay? Congratulations. Thank you all. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you. Yeah, sure.
And I just want to say one thing. You don't win awards, especially national awards and other stuff, without partners and people who help you get there. And the City of Paducah has been an amazing partner to Market House Theater and to me over the 40 years that I've been here. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, next on the agenda is an update from John Hodges, our Executive Director of JSA. Welcome, John. It's always
Welcome.
an exciting topic
Yeah.
for you to
I'm
talk
like-
about.
I noticed you had me in the middle there for a little while, and I'm like, glad I'm not in the middle between those two. Probably should have put me in the front, but that's fine. Mayor and Commission, how are you guys? Of course, I don't come up that often, but I try to come up at least once a year. To update you a little bit on what we have going on and not take too much of your time, but to thank you for all that you do for us. We, like you, are doing some planning. We're working through a lot of planning. I know you guys are working on your comprehensive plan. The county put me on that little advisory committee or whatever that you have. We had one of our meetings and we went and talked to some of those guys, and I thought about what we're doing in relation to that. Of course, back in 2016 and 2010, we worked on a separate plan for overflows in our separate system, and then we're continuing right now to work on our long-term control plan, which is our combined sewer work that we've been working on. We also have started what we call a 201 plan. That's required by law with the state every 20 years. It's a planning document. Honestly, you only need that planning document if you're going to change your treatment process, and we're going to have to do that at Woodlawn, which is a small, of course we have 3 treatment plants. You think of the Paducah plant, but we also have one in Woodlawn and Reedland, and the one in Woodlawn is just technically not able to keep up to what we need to do nowadays. We're going to have to do some changes for that. So by 2026, we'll have to do some work there in Woodlawn, and you start with a 201 plan and then you do your design. So we'll have some public meetings and some things as we go through that. The Woodlawn upgrade's probably a $4 million construction project. It'll cost us some money to get there. Of course, we continue to work on the work that's around the big tank by our office. If you know the big 15 million gallon tank, if you walk the Greenway Trail, that was $7 million, and we're finishing up a $6 million pump station. We're 99% on that right now. We've got 3 VFDs that just came in that we need to install, and we'll be done with that. And then we need to work on the 3rd phase of that project, which you'll see me come up with you guys. We'll need to build a screening facility and then have a separate discharge through the flood wall and then tie back into our outfall. And we'll need an easement across the fire training center. Of course, I've been talking with Darren about that. He's well aware of that. And of course, to cut the flood wall, we need to get a core permit, and we've been working with Rick on that. Thankful for Rick on that project because the Corps has an idea of the material that they'd like to see, and Rick has a better idea, to be honest with you, of the material that it needs to be to go through the flood wall, and he's convinced them to do that, and probably going to save us a couple $100,000 on material cost, and you're going to have a more superior pipe. So I'm thankful for Rick for that, and for championing to get that permit out as fast as we can. Because, you know, the Corps is the Corps, and they're an interesting group to deal with. And sometimes the people that know how to work on the Corps are an interesting group of people to deal with. And to actually get those people to realize you need to do something in a timely manner is a frustrating thing for me, I'm not going to lie. And we continue to push on that. So I'm appreciative of that. Once we finish that job, we need to be in the field next year. Once we finish that job, we're going to go ahead and flip over to Noble Park, and we'll do something very similar there. These are the first phases of pumps and screens with disinfection to come later. The thing at Noble Park will need to be done by 2027, and that's a $10 million job. So we've got some money we've got to spend. We're also working on design to replace the sludge processes at the Paducah plant. They've aged out, probably 2-3 years past the life of our dye store and a few things that we have over there that we need to do work. Luckily, we've got some money that we've saved for that particular project that we put back for that because we knew that we would not rank high enough for a KIA loan, which is one of your low interest loans that you get through the state revolving fund. So instead of having to municipally bond and pay the whatever that percentage is right now, we're going to cash that job and do that work. So you will see us again, potentially, on some ordinance revisions. I need to review and revise our sewer use ordinance, which is the basic ordinance for how our business is set up. Every few years, we get audited by the state for pretreatment, and every year we have a pretreatment audit. They come up with some different language they want us to put in our sewer use ordinance. So we have to change that. So as soon as we can get that from them, which takes some time, we'll adjust that and bring that to you. And then, you know, we were formed in '99, so we've really only been around for about 20 to 24 years. And our forming ordinance needs some updates based on lessons learned. So we need to look at our term limits and things like that and expand some of the things that we have in there and to just fix some language in the forming ordinance. And so we're going to be doing that. We do annually look at our rates. And of course, with our rate ordinance, we have the ability to adjust our rates up based on the consumer price index. Last year I came to you, and of course the CPIU was really high last year, and we didn't want to raise rates like that. We raised them a lower amount. We're doing that again this year. I think we base everything on April, and April is like 4.9. We don't want to do a 4.9. We want to do a 3. So our base rate will go from 661 or from 642 to 661 per 1,000 gallons. The impact to a third of our rate base, which are basically some of our poor folks, lower end users, is going to be like 50-something cents. So it's not going to be a significant impact to them. For the average family use of 4,500 gallons, the impact would be less than $1. And we are going to tick up our surcharges that we charge for industrial users that cannot get the strength of their wastewater down to what is required by law. We either have to give them a notice of violation or you have to surcharge. Darren knows what I'm talking about. All of the industries in town want us to do surcharges. So a few years ago, we actually expanded that a little bit, and we're going to tick those up a penny. Of course, Darren will know we surcharge for BOD and total suspended solids and ammonia, oil and grease, and those will all go up a penny. But also I do want to come, you know, our rates, we still very focused on that. Even with this, our rates will only be 70% of the state average from last year. So I think we're rolling good with that, and we want to keep a good eye on that. And of course, I do want to always stop by. You kind of live in a hole down there by the sewers, and I do want to always stop by every now and then and thank you guys for the support that you give us. Of course, we're a partner with you on health insurance and IT and a lot of things, and that's all going really well, and I just wanted to thank you for that. Didn't know if you had any questions.
Yeah, one quick question. I know you and I've had a couple of meetings, you know, in past years, but the debt level that you have, is it remained about the same? Are you whittling it down, or?
No, it won't be whittled down. You know, it's not an elaborate plan, but when you have the long-term control plan that was approved in 2016, identified $100 million worth of projects. We've got 80 million more to go. That's 80 million. Not counting anything that you want to do elective. The Woodlawn is another $4 million deal by 26. So you could say roughly 84. So when you map all that out, when we started back when I got there, I realized that, you know, sanitary sewer is a high debt deal. You know, people won't flinch at it, but I do. I mean, we're 30 million-ish in debt right now. And I see us going to at least 70. And then by that point, we'll be able to start putting some of the things off. Because one of the things I wanted to do is, in our board, is if we're going to get into debt, I want to spread the debt over a long period so we don't have like we can mitigate the highest peak possible. So we started back in 08 and 9 and 10 working on these low interest loans, you know, and like this $6 million job we just finished, the interest rate was 0.7. And our median household income in Paducah in our service area dropped below 80% for just a year. And just so happened it was a year that we applied for that. The only one I think we'll ever get. Normally we're between 80% and 100, which gets us that 2% rate that we're always going for. This particular job that I'm putting out, that Rick is working with us on the flood wall, That one didn't rank high enough last year. KIA only gave out a few wastewater loans last year. You think everybody's flush with money in the infrastructure bills that came out? Honestly, the infrastructure bills just gave KIA what they had 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And so they had a lot of carryover projects from plants and things that they couldn't really loan out. So I have tried to suck up and see if I can't get us ranked a little bit higher in hopes that this year it will come out. If this year it doesn't come out, I'll have to bond it. And so that debt won't go. We have to do what we have to do. And if we have to do something major to the Paducah plant, that's not a $4 million deal. That's a $25 to $30 million deal. Darren knows what I'm talking about. Treatment plants are just expensive. So we don't even have that loaded in. But my hope is it's sometime, I don't know the exact year, in the 2030s that we'll hit the 70. And then because of some of the stuff that we put on back in 08, 09, 10, 11, and 12, instead of paying maybe cash for that if we could have, we kept that cash back, believe it or not, to make money on it because we could make more than we were paying in interest. Then we'll see that stuff starting to load off, you follow me, and then my debt will start going back down.
But all sewer agencies have high debt loads? Is that
Oh,
an
yeah,
accurate
yeah,
statement?
that's not uncommon. I had a guy come out and told me, we were talking to a consultant, and of course, it's easy for them to say it because they don't look at it every day, and they said, well, $100 million of debt wouldn't freak me out. I'm like, well, it does freak me out, quite honestly. The big challenge that we have in Paducah, we have low rates, and that's great. But for your bond rating, your revenue to your debt load is significantly off balance. And that hurts us. So our bond rating could be reduced because our revenue is too low and they think that you won't be able, even though I can prove that I can, because we look at our operating cost and we can compare our operating cost to other towns and you can see where I think we're doing okay with that. Now you get what you pay for. Like you come to our office, it's not elaborate. You follow me? I mean, it's just not. And I don't have as many people that work for me at some of these other places because we're trying to pay capital debt service instead of having, so my graphics may not look as good as some of the, but I don't care about that. I'm tight, I guess, or I'm money centered. So, you have to look at all that stuff. It is what it is. I mean, and the fact of it is that because we have a little bit of money in the bank, our bond rating stays. Our bond rating is actually the city's bond rating right now. Same one, I think it's AA minus. Is that what you guys are, AA minus? AA3?
AA3.
I think I'm
we
AA3.
just got the new one
yeah. And so that is something that, we always look at. But no, it won't go down for a while. We're not doing anything but going up. And we got a big spike that's going to come here in the next 2-3 years.
Okay, so final question for me anyway is the odor that we can't seem to
Perkins
knock
Creek?
over there on the Greenway Trail. Is
there
any long-term solution to that?
Well, so here's what the deal is on Perkins Creek, and I can talk a little bit about that. Perkins Creek Lift Station, which is over there by where the Greenway Trail was built. Please remember, y'all built the Greenway Trail right by Perkins Creek Lift Station. It's like if I had a house and then you built a golf course, I could complain. But if I built my house right by your golf course, what do you expect? So everything from Lone Oak and Lewards flows into that lift station. And some of that stuff's daisy-chained, 3 and 4 pump stations. So sewage age is what dictates bad odor. Well, it's not going to get any worse than that. And so we've also got some of our Massett Creek flow that's going in there that's pumping. So what we've tried to do, we've tried to use ozone. You've heard of the new ozone technology. And we knocked it down with ozone. We put about 60 grand worth of ozone generators and aerators in that wet well 2 years ago, which we saw a measured decline in that. But the hydrogen sulfide combination in that lift station is pretty massive. So the alternative, what's the alternative to that? You can do an additive, which basically changes your bacteria from non-oxygen using, that's the one that causes the smell, to oxygen using. So to do that, you put an additive in there. We used to do hydrogen peroxide right there at the site, but if it spilt on the ground, it would catch on fire. You're not talking about CVS grade hydrogen peroxide. And I'm looking at that additive. If we put that additive in a portion of the flow, that I can do that to get it to work, it's going to be $1,600 a week is what I'm going to end up paying. So you're going to end up being 80 to 90 grand. What is that times 50? Yeah, 80 to 90 grand a year. And I don't know that I can get all of it because I can put that in a force main, a pump station. Part of that is pumped there and part of it's gravity there. So the other thing that treatment plants do that I'm looking at is called biologic treatment. And you pull a vacuum on your station and you put it through a biological vertical stack. That vertical stack requires water, which is what we don't have there. And you'd have to use potable water. A lot of plants use these things all the time, and they're able to use their effluent water and not have to pay the water bill for a continuous run on your water. But that's what we'll have to do, and that's probably, one of those vertical stacks for that size lift station's a couple $100 grand. So we've been trying to not have to spend, $300,000-400,000. But what I've told my people at work is this, because we're going to try the additive, and we've already got a quote from it, is I've told them, I said, it doesn't really matter. That area right there is close to the compost, it's close to the treatment plant, it's close to DARPRO, and it's actually a low area. All of those could contribute one day to odor in that area. But it doesn't matter. People are going to see that lift station. And until we capture all that flow and put it through something to prove it's not us, they're just going to think it's us anyway. Now, I'm not saying that we don't generate odor there, because we do. I'm not saying that.
What else could it be?
Well, like the dog food place is just 2-3 blocks down 10th Street. And compost generates an organic smell. And, that's not that far away from that neighborhood. However, that lift station does generate odor. I'm not saying that it doesn't. It's just going to take us a while to get some RFQs and stuff out to do that. But we put that in our capital budget for odor control, $200,000-$400,000 deal. It would take us a while to be able to do that. But that $1,600 a deal thing, I've already signed the document to get that thing here. So we'll see if that works or not. I've emailed that guy a couple times since, you and I talked. And he seems good. We used to have calls, and then when we put the ozone thing in, it didn't. And then I would go out, if we ever got a call, I'd go out there and turn the ozone up, and then my maintenance guy would turn the ozone down. Because ozone is an oxidizer, it'll eat your metal. Water pumps, guide rails, communators, everything we use is metal. And so I can show you a thing that we've already kind of destroyed using the ozone. And the ozone is something that's just come around. I'll be honest with you, I think I bought the first unit. I bought the first units from 2 suppliers because we've been looking for something for years. But people will talk about gravity systems like your Stuart Nelson Park and all that. There's nothing I can do there. We just try to seal it up as tight as we can to keep something from coming out. There's no additive. There's no, there's no golden bullet. Now, I do believe if we get this, this vertical stack unit over there at Perkins, it will help quite a bit. We'll just see.
Okay.
But we've been trying to do this stuff for a long time. It's not like we've been not, it's just one of those, man, you can lose so many ways in the sewer business. It's just, I was telling Darren, you know what I'm talking about. I was talking with him before. Anyway.
Any other questions?
Appreciate what you do.
Yeah, we do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay, we have some public comments tonight, and I'm just going to go over a couple of ground rules before we get started. We certainly welcome public comments, but as the presiding officer, I have the right to moderate, allow, disallow, extend public comments. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. And we ask the speakers anybody speaking must maintain decorum and respectfulness to all the elected officials, and no elected official or staff member may be targeted individually. So, as I said, they're limited to 3 minutes, and I'll start out with Ms. Hensley. Jean? Yes. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jean Hensley. I guess it was a little mark on there. Once a resident, I'm saying always a resident. I graduated from Tillman here. I was born in Kentucky, raised here. I'm on behalf of also the community of Arcadia, Cruz Avenue, Levin, and McGuire, and my father, William Hensley, who is a long-term resident of Paducah. He's 94 years old. There's a project, 723 Cruz Avenue. I'm trying to stay within my 3 minutes. I'm talking fast. But it's brought to my attention that lately, I don't think any of the residents actually knew what zone they were in. They always heard residential, but from what I understand, I was the only one to ask for the zone. So we're zone 4, understand it was changed back in 1966, and that's probably why none of the long-term residents, well, my father's about the only one left, that didn't realize where the zone is. However, it has created a problematic for that area. Points. It's been brought to my attention, there is a multiplex that's going to be built on 723 by TC3 LL3. And it was brought to my attention today that it was approved for a duplex and not a multiplex. So that is a concern, and I don't know when it was altered, if you know when it was altered, or if you know anything about it at all. I'm not for sure. However, it's a 20 apartment unit structure. It's going to be 5 units, and there are 20 to 21 parking spaces. So that's approximately 1 to 2 cars per apartment, and usually per household is usually 2. So the question is, even where will the extra parking be? Are they going to park on the street? I'm also in right now conversation with the engineering department about signs, parking signs, no parking signs, because for the people not to park, the street is not wide enough for parking anyway, but for people not to park directly in front of your house, directly in front of your driveway, which I think Kentucky has a law about 12 foot on each side and not directly across the street. And so also, I'm going to say this, the person who is TC3, LL3, there is a concern, he is on the Board of Adjusters from what I understand, and there is a concern of conflict of interest of land use. And this is from a professor at Iowa State University. It just said elected and appointed officials involved in land use decision-making must not be tainted with prejudice regarding matters that come before them. So that is, I'm trying to go through this fast for my 3 minutes so I don't go over. That is of concern also. So there's several concerns. The impracticality of the width of the street, the flow of the traffic from vehicles and pedestrians, that is a through street. And there are a lot of cars that go up and down Cruz Avenue from 32nd going to Noble Park. And there's also a lot of pedestrian traffic and bicycle traffic. I just see accidents happen. I see possibility of children getting hit. There's only been one child to get killed on that street in my lifetime, and that was years and years ago, probably in the 70s, maybe the 80s, I'm not for sure. And that's still a long-lasting remembrance.
Okay.
Am I 3 minutes up?
Yes, ma'am. But you did very well.
But thank you, okay.
You got your points across, so thank you very much. Luby Overstreet.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Louis Overstreet. I went to school with the mayor. He went to school with me. Like that. My main concern is just what she stated. Okay, the apartment complex is going to be 2 stories high. Okay, there's a residential house on each side of that house. And I don't know who would like for a 2-story apartment to cover their house, because you don't have privacy. Okay, I noticed it's a detention pond that's going to be built, but I don't really know if they have room. Because the people on Levins, it's going to have to be between Levins and Cruz. Okay, but I was told that it's supposed to be duplexes just like her. It was approved for duplexes, and what the misinterpretation of what the duplex and apartment is, I don't know how the cities phase it, but a duplex to me is a single-story structure. Okay, but seeing how all this has come about, it's like the change of the zoning in '66. Well, I've been out there all my life, and I'm 74 years old. The people of that neighborhood wasn't told about that change of zoning. We always thought it was commercial, always. All the property out there was relative owned, from Levens to McGuire to Clay Street to 32nd. And it's still fairly relative owned, you know. But we need some clarification on this building, the sites, and what exactly is going on, especially the rezoning. In '66, now, '66 wasn't a good time. And if the people wasn't told, I know the people wasn't told, because my mom and my dad lived on 32nd. I had my grandfather, relatives, nieces, and everything. Levens, McGuire, Clay. But we weren't told about the rezoning. But the clarification is all we want. And if we can do anything about getting it rezoned back like it's supposed to be. We've had, I call it SDA, the apartments. That was really eyesore for the neighborhood. There was always problems in the neighborhood. It's cleaned up a little bit now, but we really don't need more apartments in the neighborhood with houses. But
Okay. Well, we'll have to, I can't answer your question, you know, and some of your questions, you know, off the cuff, but we will follow up. We will do some research. We'll huddle ourselves together and get you some answers.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate taking your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Overstreet. Okay, we're going to move to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The city clerk will read the items recommended for approval unless any commissioner would like an item removed for separate discussion. Then I'll ask the city clerk to go ahead and please read the items recommended for approval.
Approve minutes for the June 13th, 2023 Board of Commissioners meeting, receive and file documents, personnel actions, a municipal order authorizing and directing PFGW to release a request for proposals for the selective interior demolition project of the grandstand structure and adjacent building for the athletic complex construction, a municipal order authorizing the finance director to pay Kentucky League of Cities for workers' compensation, liability insurance, and property insurance coverage in a total amount of $1,225,726.76 for the City of Paducah, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same, a municipal order accepting grant funds to the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives, KDLA, for a local records program grant in the amount of $46,000 to create a comprehensive records management system for the Paducah Fire Department Prevention Division, and authorizing the mayor to execute the grant agreement and all documents related to same, a municipal order authorizing the acceptance of the National Park Service Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program Technical Assistance Grant, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same, a municipal order accepting grant funds for a 911 Services Board grant in the amount of $8,827, and authorizing the mayor to execute the grant agreement and all documents related to same.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, we have three municipal orders to approve tonight. The first one's related to the relocation of the dog park, which I know is of interest to a lot of people. So I'll ask our city clerk to please read it, and then we'll let our director of parks talk about it.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Approving the Paducah Dog Park Civil Construction Estimate and Scope of Work for the Stuart Nelson Dog Park Relocation to Noble Park."
So moved.
Second?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk. So tonight we have a municipal order to approve the proposed budget for the relocation of the dog park. The proposed budget includes the agreed upon per the ILA, 50/50 with the fiscal court, and that's in the amount of 278, hold on, I gotta look, 278,424 is what we've agreed with the county to pay as part of our development costs out of the complex funding. And then the additional funding would be what the city wants to come to the table with. That's for road improvements, the upgrades, any upgrades that we want to provide as part of the amenities of the park. So the total cost would be $507,302.
So the ILA allows for $278,000, which was like for like, if we put exactly the same dog park in Noble Park. And then the city has, because of the location and wanting to make sure that we upgrade it, we've added another $225,000 to that.
Essentially, yes. So the like for like was based on the recommendation from the work group. We got together and decided if we were going to relocate the park in Stuart Nelson Park, how much would it cost today? And so that's where that 278 number came from. And then the rest of it is, the majority of it is for improvement to the roadway. Currently, the road back to the Anna Bomber is, there's a couple of things that need to be fixed, the bridge being one of them. And so this would pay for survey work to have that done and design work, as well as the actual construction of the new road. It would not be exactly what we presented before, where we're going through the Anna Bomber field. Instead, we're going to actually improve the road that's there and make a connection from the basketball courts to the area in front of the pool. So it would connect all of that and then create a new bridge down to the Anna Bomber area. And then there's some additional costs for fountains, to put pet fountains in, as well as, I can't remember what the other one is. Paved parking. So right now there's gravel parking, so this would also allow us to put some paved parking in.
So will the road, when it's improved, allow for two vehicles?
Yes, it will be
Because that
two-way.
road's very narrow right
Yes.
now.
Yes, so it will be two-way from the amphitheater right there. It'll connect over to the basketball courts using that old roadway. And then it'll create a new bridge down across the creek to
Okay.
the Anna Bomber, and it'll all be two-way.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On the paved parking, what does the paved parking really do for us as far as improvement? I know people would rather park on a paved parking or step off of it, but, once you pave something, then you've got to repave it every, so many years and all. It seems like it's an ongoing maintenance, also causes more runoff, that sort of thing. So would not gravel be adequate for that?
It would. Paved parking does make accessibility easier for anyone that has accessibility needs. But we could put quarter minus and that would still meet that need. It's just an option for upgrade if we wanted to choose to do that.
Seems like it'd be better just to leave it gravel and you avoid some headaches.
Yeah, so-
Maintenance costs.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we'll go through the design process, and then we'll send this out for RFP. And that's an alternate, and so we can choose to leave that in the package, or we can choose to remove it.
Thank you.
Good point.
Did the location end up being split on each
Yes.
side of the road? And then what about around the house?
The back side of the Anna Bomber building will still be available for use. The large dog park will be where we talked about on the Anna Bomber side of the road, back towards the nature trail, and it'll take up pretty much that whole wooded area. And then the small dog park will be across the street there on the floodwall side.
So it did leave the house available for other rentals?
Yes.
Yeah, not to open Pandora's box, but does the Anna Bomber house need to be improved?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Not necessarily part of this project, but it's definitely on our radar for improvements.
because it looks pretty rough.
Yes,
so.
it does. It does.
But it's a really nice idea, and I can see why somebody would want to use it. It's got a kitchen, right? And,
It's just a kitchenette.
Okay.
But yes, bathrooms, it's a nice sized space and outdoor seating. So yeah, it's very, very nice. Very private.
Okay, that's all. Any other questions? Okay.
Not a question, but just a point of clarification, just for the commission's understanding. This is, while we have talked figures, these are just pre-construction estimates.
Okay.
So there will be an opportunity to come back, as Amy mentioned, when we put the bid out. The recommendation was from, as according to the ILA, the Sports Tourism Commission made a recommendation to both this body and the fiscal court to move forward with releasing the RFP to that. Then it would go back through another process once all that comes in.
Okay.
So it is just it's a ballpark estimate as we sit here tonight.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Call roll, please.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, the next item is a declaration and sale of surplus property. I'll let city clerk read it first, and then maybe Nick can come up and tell us a little bit about it.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Declaring the Real Properties Located at 1240 and 1242 North 12th Street to be surplus property, accepting the bid of Elbert Dinkins in the amount of $1 for purchase of each said real property, and authorizing the mayor to execute the deed and all documents related to same."
Second.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Nick?
Good
Tell
evening,
us about it.
Mayor, Commission, City Manager, City Clerk. So this property has been owned by the city for quite some time, and we've advertised it numerous times and haven't received any bids. So this individual has applied and submitted a bid for $1, and his plan is to construct a new single-family home on the site. It is a 28 by 56 manufactured home, a 3-bed, 2-bath, total investment of $105,000. So really excited to provide this opportunity for affordable housing options for this individual and improve the north side neighborhood.
It's not a trailer. It's a modular home. Can you explain what it is?
Technically,
You said Fleetwood. Normally when I hear Fleetwood, I
historically,
think of
they would be
mobile home.
referred to as a double wide, but today the term is a manufactured home. So it is a home that is constructed in an inspected facility. And so it's just a change in definition, essentially.
And it's allowed in this area where
Correct.
you.
And this is near the area where the folk just got through talking about, is that not? Is that somewhere? Is that?
Cruise
This would, this
No,
Cruise
I think
Avenue
This
would
is
be
not
on the other side of
other-
Park.
Okay,
This is, I think it intersects with Northview.
okay. So then, even if they're gonna approve all of this, are there any other requirements in the neighborhood that have to go forward?
No.
Okay.
No, it doesn't have any additional design restrictions or review associated with the property. It's not like Fountain Avenue or Lower Town neighborhoods.
Do they have so they don't have to have particular plantings or any kind of shrubbery or anything like that? They can just pull something in and,
Yeah, there's no landscaping
Solid.
requirements for this project.
this is, I guess, above grade. It's not like it's on a slab or anything.
It'll be placed on a slab with a permanent foundation and
Okay.
a skirting of
It won't have a
around the
slab,
base.
it'll have a footer and foundation.
Yeah, if it's got skirting, it's not on a slab.
Slab be a concrete. Be a
Yeah.
concrete slab.
with a skirt around the base.
So it's,
So
the
it'll be consistent with the neighborhood, with already there.
Yeah.
they rolled it in, take the wheels off, put the skirting around it. Is that what we're talking about?
It goes on a concrete slab. So all the plumbing and everything is based in that.
The skirting's what threw me off, normally.
I'm kind of lost on this. It's on a slab, the plumbing would be coming out of the slab, so I don't know what would
Correct.
hold I'm trying to learn too. I'm not, double wides,
So.
got a footer and foundation
I guess
around
the
it.
bottom line is
Is
it's
it zoned
conformed to
appropriately?
the
You're right.
zoning.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's zoned
properly.
Then I think it's okay.
Yes.
I don't know the technicalities of the building code and that component,
Yeah,
but
I think it fits,
yes.
right.
I mean, do we want to take any time we want to take 2 weeks to get more information? I mean, the reason it was on the consent agenda and I pulled it off because I wanted to really just talk about, because essentially we sold 2 lots to somebody for $1. And so they're.
No, it would be $1 per lot.
Oh, sorry.
You were off by 50%.
I stand corrected.
I do know that.
So we sold 2 lots for a couple of bucks and, in hopes that someone, with a plan for someone to come in and improve, and make it better. It's going to be a new home, a new modular home. But I think, some of the questions that we're asking are valid questions. What is he going to put on there? And I assume, to Commissioner Henderson's point, it fits in with the rest of the neighborhood, but I just want to make.
The real question, if it fits the zoning requirements of that neighborhood, then I don't see any reason to delay.
Right,
Yeah.
I agree.
I want to get families in.
Yep.
Homes. And
And it's an improvement from day one, once they pull it in. It's an improvement on the tax base.
I'm good with it. I would like, though, is there a sketch or something?
I'll check with fire prevention on the differences between the
Yeah,
different
that's, if you
foundation
could just
types
educate me, that'd be great.
and screening. And then I'll see if they have a brochure or some type of information, because they'll have to provide that during the building permit process.
They did another one right down 13th Street, real close to this one. I mean, I don't know exactly where this one is, but it was the same, double wide, looks fine, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Ready to vote?
Yeah.
Okay. Call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye?
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, and the final municipal order is a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. And I'll ask City Clerk to please read it first.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing the Mayor to Execute All Documents Necessary to Apply for a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant in the amount of $6,760,000 through the U.S. Department of Transportation to improve roadway safety through Safety Action Plan development and the redesign of the Buckner Lane, Broadway Street, and Lone Oak Road, LaBelle Avenue intersection with improvements to 32nd Street and Buckner Lane to better accommodate traffic flow."
So moved.
Second?
All right, Hope.
So, good evening, Commissioners, Mayor Bray, City Manager, and City Clerk. About less than a year ago, we were here and submitted, you all approved, and we submitted an application for a Department of Transportation Safe Streets and Roads grant for the intersection at Buckner Lane, Broadway, Lone Oak Road, and LaBelle Avenue. We did not receive that grant award. We were recommended for funding. I did a debrief with the Department of Transportation. There were basically 4 categories that we were judged on. 2 of them we were highly recommended, 2 of them we were recommended. Due to the competitiveness of it, they had far more in requests than what they had to give out in funding. And so we have met with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet several times and several discussions with them to go back and refine those other 2 sections so that we feel like we have an even stronger application this time that we could submit again for this same grant proposal. As it was mentioned, the total project cost for this grant would be $8.4 million, with us requesting $6.7 million of that from the federal government. Overall, our goal here, like it states, is to improve the safety for everyone using that area all the way to Clark School, back up to Lone Oak Road to Paducah Middle School, because we have so many children that walk from Paducah Middle School to Clark Elementary to ride home, that walk and ride their bikes to the surrounding neighborhoods. The overall goal is to make it a complete street, which is a term that means, it's inclusive for everyone, whether you are walking, biking, commercial, private vehicle, that it is safe and provides access for everyone. And so that's why we're here tonight. We would like to submit that application again in partnership with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. If you have some questions about the details and the technicalities of the proposal and of the road, Rick is here and is going to be and can answer some of those engineering related questions for you.
What's your deadline? I think I owe you some letters.
July 10th.
Okay.
I read it, but it wasn't quite clear to me. Somehow, is this connecting Lone Oak Road? What is it doing? I know,
So
is
what
it
it-
getting
yes.
rid of LaBelle and routing on 32nd Street? or-
Well, LaBelle will still be there, but yes, what it would do is that gas station across the street from Independence Bank, it would take Lone Oak Road basically through where that gas station is and connect it to North 32nd Street.
Okay.
So you would have a safe perpendicular intersection there with crosswalks on all 4 sides, a left turn lane, things that would make it even easier. We have discussed, and I'll let Rick, because there's even a piece of this that goes up around Clark Elementary because there's such an issue with carpool line with Clark Elementary and how backed up
Yep.
it is on Buckner and on Friedman. Like in the mornings, if somebody's trying to get down Friedman, you can't. It's completely blocked with cars. And even making some of the sidewalks a multi-purpose pathway so that, because like Lone Oak Road back towards Paducah Middle, there's too many constraints to actually widen that, but we could possibly take the sidewalk, make it a multi-purpose path for pedestrians and bikes and make that area safer. So you could, potentially have a multi-purpose path that comes to that intersection at Lone Oak Road and 32nd, with that continuing up to Clark Elementary. But I've gotten off track here and taken some of Rick's information, so.
So Commissioner Smith, we looked at this project maybe, in the last 12 months sometime, before you were elected. And so and we had the owner of the Coke plant here. He expressed some, I'll call it not objection, but concerns about retaining the fabric, of that neighborhood, and wanted us to make sure that we, kept that in mind. But ever since I've been elected, it's been on the list of state projects as potentially a big improvement to that part of town. Because if you're trying to get out 32nd Street, you have to go to the light, take a left, then an immediate right, and there's no parking for really the Coke plant. You got Independence Bank there. I mean, we actually, probably 18 months ago, there was a child that was hit, and then the state came in and made some improvements to the lights. So it's just, it's an intersection that needs improvement.
So if we get this, and we have to come up with, what, 1.6 million? Or how does that work?
Correct. Do you,
Well, it would be split between us because the Transportation Cabinet would be putting in portion of the match fund, and then the city would also be putting a portion of the match fund.
Okay, good. All
So
right,
we would
thank you.
split that match. And that'd be, because as Hope mentioned, part of the project goes up around Clark Elementary. And so with us taking the opportunity to address that issue in the larger portion of that, that's not really under the state's plan for this area. So that portion would be our match tied in with that. And then Transportation Cabinet is supportive of the project and would look to match the portion that they had originally looked at. So it's about, and the school is in supportive of it as well. Last year, before we made the application, we met with business owners in the area. We talked about the Coke plant. We also, Rick had met with superintendent of schools and talked about that, and we really had a good open discussion about, from their perspective, how that makes that area safer as well by being able to refocus the drop-off lane and come around and address those issues. And then the other, the business owners that were right there in that other corner and the bank were also supportive of that.
yes,
Now,
yes.
It's a school, we talked to school about participating in the cost on it.
So some donations.
Go ahead.
In our conversation with the Board of Education, meeting with Dr. Shively, they are looking, they've written letters supporting contributions or donations of the right-of-way necessary. We don't have enough room within our right-of-ways around Clark School to build the improvements necessary for the queuing lanes. What we want to do is take all that after-school and preschool pickup, take it all off Buckner and bring it around Freedman Avenue and Afton Avenue so they can queue around the school rather than queue down Broadway. So in order to do that, we'll have to do a little bit of widening behind the school and a little bit of widening on Freedman Avenue to allow those queuing lanes. And it'd be like 2 lanes stacked where the parents are just coming around the building and they got 2 lanes up front where they're picking up, it's too wide, where they pick up the students in the afternoon. So what we want to do is have 2 lanes go all the way around the building so they can just queue and go around, and they won't be coming down Buckner and backing up down 32nd Street.
But the school system is not offered to participate financially in this.
By offering their ground, yes, they are. By offering their property, because it's property that we're going to need.
But no
Not
cash.
hard dollar. Yeah,
No
not
hard
cash
dollars.
That's
They
my
haven't,
question.
they haven't
does-
come
they're-
up with a
yeah.
cash.
Yeah, their donation allows us to not have to pay for the acquisition
Yes.
of that land, so we save the cost on that.
I understand.
Yeah.
This is all for the benefit of the school system, which is great, but I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
Really, it's much more than just the school system. I mean, it's that whole area.
It's
The neighborhood
it's a
there.
overall public safety matter. It's just an area of congestion, some bad geometry that's been there for years, and we're just trying to make some strides forward. The state's match on this is, on their portion, is 1.1 million. Our match is 500,000 on our portion. So they still have the lion's share of this project on 8.4 million. We've got 500,000
Yeah, okay.
in the deal.
500's.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Rick or Hope? Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. Okay, I'll ask our city clerk to call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, we have 4 ordinances to adopt. They've been read previously. I'll let the city clerk start off by reading the first one.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, Sections 2-643 and 2-660, to increase the dollar threshold related to small purchase procedures from $30,000 to $40,000 in accordance with the recent change to KRS 45A.385 related to the Kentucky Model Procurement Code. Further, this ordinance updates inconsistent language and removes obsolete provisions in sections 2-487, 2-545, and 2-669.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? I'll ask the city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Go ahead and read the second one.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance repealing Chapter 26 Cemeteries, Articles 1 and 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, and replacing them in their entirety. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance repeals and replaces Chapter 26 Cemeteries in its entirety in order to align with state statutes for municipally owned and operated cemeteries and to make needed updates related to the City of Paducah operations and procedures. Sections 26-5 and 26-6 shall be published in their entirety in accordance with KRS 83A.060.
So moved.
Second.
I think Amy did a pretty good job of explaining this 2 weeks ago, so I think we're ready to call roll, please.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Read the next one, please.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 34 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, to create new articles related to Southside incentives. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, to add new articles to create a Southside Business Improvement Grant Program, Home Rehabilitation and New Construction Grant Program, and Southside Home Repair Micro Grant.
So moved.
Second.
So this is a Southside Housing and Economic Development Program that we've been working on for so long. So I just go on record as saying, Nick, I hope you run out of money quickly and you come back to the till. That'll mean that we've struck something. So call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. And the final ordinance to be adopted.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2022-06-8740, entitled an ordinance adopting the City of Paducah, Kentucky annual operating budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2023, by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2022 and ending June 30, 2023, as adopted by ordinance number 2022-06-8740, is amended by the following reappropriation. Move $650,000 from fund balance reserves to city improvement projects PF 0079.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions about this one? Okay, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, we have two ordinances to introduce tonight. The first one has to do with closing a portion of Old Coleman Road, and Rick's here to explain it to us, but I'll let the city clerk read it first, please.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance providing for the closing of 33,517 square feet of Old Coleman Road between 3200, 3204, and 3226 Coleman Road, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah does hereby authorize the closing of 33,517 square feet of Old Coleman Road between 3200, 3204, and 3226 Coleman Road, and authorizes, empowers, and directs the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed from the City of Paducah to the property owner in or abutting the public way to be closed.
So moved.
Second.
Rick?
Mayor Commission, this goes back to 1994, whereas in 94, the city relocated Coleman Road as we know it today. But back before then, Coleman Road was just a little snaky two-lane road that went out through the country out there. And this is a piece of Coleman Road. Lindsay, could you bring the GIS up for me, please? That is a remnant, and it's just standing out there, and we have a developer that happens to own both sides of that. and is prepared to make a land sale there. And so he's come to the city and is making an application for closing that portion of Coleman Road. Give me just a second and I'll get in on it here. And you'll see the, I guess, need for that once I get there. Yeah, right here it is. This is the part of Coleman Road that is going out in the middle of nowhere. This is where we drive Coleman Road today. This is the old Coleman Road alignment that's there. And that's the part that's being applied for closure due to development potential here on this property. So there is a sanitary sewer line that runs through there, of which we will be retaining an easement for the JSA, a public utility easement for them, but this would revert to private property. As actually, this probably should have been done several years ago. Like I said, this portion of Coleman Road was built in the early 90s, and probably that should have been followed through with sooner by the previous property owner, but that's how long it's been on the books.
And that's right behind McDonald's, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. This is McDonald's right here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So all of that's in the city limits, just on Coleman Road. How far does it go all the way over to?
Actually, we go to County Park Road. On here, I can show you the city limit line. Here, we cross the railroad tracks, but when we get up there to Pedder, this being County Park Road, this is our city limit lines here, but then we jump across the street and we have Pedder and all of this industrial park that's in the city, but this is actually in the county over here. And the new development that you see down here on Coleman Road, all this right here, all this new development you see, that's all in the county.
Okay.
Good.
All right, any questions? Okay, I'll ask the city clerk to read the second ordinance.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 6, Article 3, Entertainment Destination Center, EDC, of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends Sections 6-62 regulations of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah to allow businesses located within or sharing a boundary with the Entertainment Destination Center, EDC, to request permission from the City of Paducah to allow customers to possess and drink alcoholic beverages on said business premises that were purchased from participating EDC vendor in the authorized EDC branded cup.
So moved.
Second.
You're on.
So, Mayor, Commissioner, City Manager, this is an amendment to our EDC ordinance that was originally passed in 2021 to create a district boundary downtown to allow for people to buy from restaurants and bars, alcoholic beverages in designated EDC cups and walk around in the general areas of our downtown. When that was passed, it was not allowed to take those cups into any other businesses. They just had to stay in kind of the common areas or other EDC licensed businesses. But that has changed with House Bill 237 that was signed into law this March, and it becomes effective July 1. That allows for other businesses, such as retail businesses, to allow those cups to be taken into their place of business. So this would be something sort of like a sip and shop, something of that nature. In order to implement that on a local level, we have to amend our code to allow for it as well. So that's what this amendment is. Local businesses do not have to participate in this, so they don't have to allow those EDC cups to come in. But if they want to, they can ask the city for permission and receive written permission for those cups to come in. Main Street has created a window decal so that it will be easily recognizable. So if you have an EDC cup, you'll see a decal on the window that says EDC cup friendly. It has a picture, so you'll know that that's a place that you could take your cups into.
EDC cups welcome here.
Exactly. So if this is passed on second reading in a couple of weeks, then businesses would be able to just reach out to my office and ask for that permission.
Okay. All right, city manager, any comments?
None tonight.
Okay. Commissioners?
I've got a comment. One of them is just quality of life issues. I think that police chief and I have talked, about different things. It seems like there's a lot of speeding, a lot of littering, a lot of noise, and a stop sign running, all that kind of thing. I would like to try to encourage added enforcement just to try to get things under control. But I'm one of 5, so I wanted to, bounce it off you guys, see if you guys were supportive of that thing, and see if we couldn't get some more focus on in that area. I think would benefit. When you walk down a street, there are cars speeding a lot of different places. I think it would really add a lot of litter, people throwing stuff out. So.
Well, there's a difference between stopping somebody for speeding and watching somebody throw a piece of paper out if you're talking about somebody tossing out the window, if somebody's dumping garbage in a ditch somewhere.
Someone throws something out the window, someone throws a coffee cup out the window, I think they need to be pulled over.
A lot of that seems to be happening in the wee hours of the early morning.
Yep.
So I don't know how we do patrol.
Yeah,
Something
they
like
can't,
that.
they wouldn't have like a litter patrol. I'm just saying that I know that there are not a lot of citations being written for those kind of things, so I'd like to see some focus on that.
I'm all for it. I don't know how it syncs, with our personnel, with the capacity that our personnel have, versus the other tasks that they have at the time. But certainly I'm not against enforcing, the speed limit. I might be the first person that got a ticket, but,
Me too.
But still, so be it. Really enforcement, I think, does make it does make a difference. People see, policemen out on the street, and so I think it makes a lot of sense. City manager, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think it does, and I think where appropriate and the personnel allow for it, had conversation with the police chief, and I know that you supplied some of the data, and, even to his own admission, there are some areas for improvement there, and so I think we're moving in that way. It just does remind me, the mayor and I were up in northern Kentucky in Wingate a couple weeks ago, and they had some signage at their stop signs on some of it, and it talked about it's your choice. I forget the exact phrasing on it, but on the stop sign, it had, it's your choice, rolling stop, fine $169, or full stop, free. And so something like that, we might be able to look at some ways to do, that's not really writing citations, but also get it in the mind of the public. I know, Commissioner, you have shared some ideas about, some signage that you've seen in other communities about noise, in certain areas. And so I think our team is definitely exploring those to see how we might be better serving on that.
It definitely fits into quality of life, which is one of our priorities for the commission. So, I think it's something we should explore, and maybe, at some point in time, the chief could come back and, give us an update on his thoughts on it, it'd be great if you wouldn't mind doing that, Brian, sometime. And it kind of reminds me of when I was in high school. I got stopped one time. And, well, once I'm going to talk about. But anyway, he pulled me over because I ran a stop sign, and he said, yeah, just remember, it's a stop sign, not a look sign. So,
I've got one other question.
I'm sorry.
Okay, then I'm done. But the other thing is, there seems like a lot of panhandling going on. Now, go by one spot there by Olive Garden, there's a woman with 2 kids standing in the sun, and there's a male in a car right at the Fazoli's, watching them. So, it's like, I imagine it was a spouse or husband or boyfriend or something. I don't know
That's a tough
if
one.
there's anything we can do on it, but I'd like to look at it, because there's another instance where, on James Sanders Drive, where, when you actually turn to go into the mall, there's a concrete
Median.
curb there. There was a guy there
With his dog?
with a dog. I mean, right in there, all that traffic whizzing by is just in the sun. You got a black dog sitting in the sun and a guy sitting there panhandling, and it's a dangerous kind of situation. Maybe we could talk to legal to see if, there's something that we could.
I think Chief Laird's probably got some perspective on that one too. We and I have chatted about that one
Oh, have
before,
we?
so.
Okay.
You run folks off and then they come back
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't, discuss. And so I think these are good subjects to talk about, all of this, so.
Appreciate it. That's it. Sorry.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner
No,
Henderson.
To your point earlier, the chief met with, and some of his officers met with some of the residents from the north side last night. And so that issue, it's not something that's isolated to one particular area. We're having issues all over the city of Paducah with speeding, loud noise, people just messing up people's lawns and the whole 9 yards. So I just wanted to throw that out there. It's something that we definitely need to talk about, and I think the chief does have some perspective and some plan to handle that. It's all over, and that's
Yeah.
that's not all, but that's one of the things that the residents last night complained about.
We did receive some funding yesterday for Kyler Park and some others projects in the city. The governor, when he was here, giving some money away yesterday. That was very
We
nice.
did, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Governor Bashir was in town yesterday, doling out his big checks.
Well, it's
So,
always good to be a recipient.
That's right.
Much better to be a recipient than
that's
not.
right. And since you brought it up, I'll finalize, my last comment really would be, I was out at the new airport terminal yesterday for the very first time. And it's world class. I mean, it's really awesome. And it really makes you feel like you're, somewhere, not Paducah. I mean, it makes you think you're in a terminal, in a really big city. The amenities are very nice, and we've all got a lot to be proud of.
Absolutely.
So. Okey dokey, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye?
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.
Good one.